students and faculty of St. Edward's University. My name is Daniel Sabatino. I am a professor here at St. Edward's. I'm joined by Wesley Harris, the chief of SEU PD. Also joined by Bryn McNabb, a psychologist and analyst for CNN. And lastly, joined by Soraya Brandow, who's a concerned student. The purpose of our panel today is to inform you, the faculty and students of St. Edward's, about campus carry and to persuade all of you guys to take a stance. The guidelines for our panel today will be each panelist will be given a question and given a minute of allotted time to answer that question. Panelists, please avoid interrupting each other while answering the questions. I'm going to ask the audience to hold all questions and applause till the end. Now we're going to move on to the question portion. Wesley, what is your position on campus carry and why?
So hello, my name is Wesley, and I am for campus carry. I'm on this side because, according to Washington Times, there's been about 142 shootings that have happened since 2012, and they have occurred at all levels of education. And this number continues to climb. Obviously, over the years we've seen it. It's always in the news of shootings happening. Due to this information, I believe that individuals should have the opportunity to protect themselves if a shooter comes onto campus and comes into a classroom. So if they do have the ability to carry a weapon on there, they could protect them and their fellow colleagues if this occasion presents itself. So this would be very good.
Thank you, Wesley. Bryn, what is your position on campus carry and why?
Hi, my name is Bryn, and I'm kind of in the middle of the road on campus carry. I believe people should be able to exercise their Second Amendment rights, but at the same time, you have to wonder, is bringing more guns on campus really going to make it safer? I mean, more guns equals potentially more bad things happening. So the thing with campus carry that I feel like most people don't understand, though, is the fact that in order to be able to legally carry, according to the state of Texas legislature, you have to have a concealed handgun license. What this means, you have to be 21 years of age, go through a class in order to do this, and then from there, you have to go through a shooting test as well. So with this being said, I think that a lot of people that will be carrying on campus will have to obviously go through this process for it to be legal and would be less likely to injure someone. But again, shooters typically get their guns illegally anyways, so this could be a problem.
Thank you, Bryn. Soraya, what is your position on campus carry and why?
Good afternoon, I'm Soraya. I'm a concerned student, and I'm against campus carry because classrooms have never been a place for guns, and allowing students to carry them is giving them the authority to protect themselves using deadly force.
Thank you, Soraya. We're going to move on to our second question. Wesley, how do you believe campus carry affects the faculty of universities faced with this law?
I think the campus carry law affects the faculty in a positive way. This is due to the simple fact that they are not the only ones on campus either. So they're not the only ones as people that are working here. So they are able to protect themselves, and if a shooter does come into the classroom, they are able to protect themselves just as a student would. So I think it's a positive way effect for them. According to prepared gun owners, and it's been proven over and over again that if these types of shooters come onto campus, they either give up or take their own lives when they're confronted with any resistance. So if a faculty member happened to carry on campus, this could save their lives or their students that are in their class at the time.
Thank you, Wesley. Bryn, how do you believe campus carry affects the faculty of universities faced with this law?
This has always been an interesting and difficult question to answer for me, just for the simple fact that, once again, bringing guns onto campus in greater excess is obviously a scary thing. But from what I'm hearing, a lot of the professors saying is that they're afraid that disgruntled students will confront them in office hours, that sort of thing, over grades, or that they won't be able to discuss hot topic issues in class and have heated debates because they're afraid that someone will get up in the middle of class angered by whatever's being said and then confront each other violently. But according to History.com, the Columbine shooting in 1999 was actually premeditated. The two students that committed this act of violence had actually been planning for over a year failure on how to bomb the school, and as a result of the bombs not going off, this is when they went in with the guns and began shooting students. And similarly with the Virginia Tech shooting in 2007, in between his first and second attacks, he went and mailed a package to NBC with videos, pictures of himself with the weapons used in the attack, and was basically talking about the quote-unquote rich students and issues that he had with them. So part of this is that a lot of times it is premeditated. A lot of times their actions can be somewhat predicted or can become easily seen by their writings or other schoolwork or that sort of thing. So alternatives to SB 11 probably should have been thought about, because it was very drastic to allow guns into every area of campus, but I don't necessarily think professors have that much to worry about in classes and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Bryn. Soraya, how do you believe campus carry affects the faculty of universities faced with this law?
I think universities are getting confused about it. Are feeling, some of them are feeling afraid. That's why they have been providing some workshops to inform them about the laws, because according to CSB News, lawmakers in 13 states are considering this law. So many of them doesn't know how they are going to work when this law comes across some of the states. So I think they are trying to provide room so everyone in the university, faculty and students can feel safe and unable to be around while this law is around.
Thank you, Soraya. This brings us to our last question. Wesley, how do you believe campus carry affects the overall security of universities?
I think that this campus carry law affects the overall security and safety of campuses greatly. If you think back to the Columbine shooting, and disregard that it happened on a high school campus, but the fact that it took the SWAT and police around 45 minutes to show up to the shooting and get ready to go in there and try to stop it, during that time, 10 to 15 casualties probably happened per gun owners. If someone was in there that was carrying a gun, they could have confronted the shooter and used this defense that this law allows to stop this the shooter from killing more people. So suddenly the shooter's not in control anymore, and they're either trying to get away or trying to protect themselves at that point. Also, according to PGO, every time there is any period of time waiting for some kind of law enforcement to show up to a shooting, the death tolls seem to be very high. But 100% of the time that there's an armed, responsible person around, the death tolls seem to be in single digits every time. So for these reasons, I am for campus carry.
Thank you, Wesley. Bryn, how do you believe campus carry affects the overall security of universities?
So since we're speaking of the overall security on campuses, I'm going to define what I would assume to be public areas on campus and private areas on campus. So I'll remind you, such as at UT, that public areas would include classrooms, common areas, those sorts of things. But a private area would be like a dorm room, somewhere that's supposed to be your home. And I have a really big issue with campus carry allowing guns into dorm rooms, because personally, as a gun owner myself, I would still be very uncomfortable knowing that I was living with a complete stranger that was allowed to have a gun. And the Texas state legislature actually has allowed people to carry on campuses that have a concealed handgun license, but they were only allowed in common areas such as outside. So for instance, at St. Edward's, walking up down the sidewalk, as long as it's concealed and it doesn't come into a building, you would still be okay. And that's how it is at UT, but now with this campus carry law, they're allowed in any building on campus. With this being said, UT can poll students and say, how do you want restrictions on guns in the dorms to be allowed? I just don't think this is enough. People that have issues with guns should be able to feel safe in their new home, especially if they're very uncomfortable with guns. And this is why I'm still in the middle of the road on the campus carry issue.
Thank you, Bryn. Soraya, how do you believe that campus carry affects the overall security of universities?
I don't think faculty and staff are going to feel safe around the campus, because And also, we have officers and security guards around the campus. So they have the function to protect everybody around us. Since a student has the opportunity and the power to have a gun to protect themselves, I think it takes off the power that officers and security guards have. So I don't think it's a good idea.
Thank you, Sarai.
That's why I am against campus carry.
Thank you, Sarai. So in recap, Wesley was for campus carry because he believes that it gives students the right that they should have to be able to protect themselves and that would increase safety on campus. Bryn was in the middle because she could see both sides of the argument. She could see how it would help protect, but how it could make other people and other students feel uncomfortable. And Soraya was against campus carry because she believes that classrooms are not a place for guns. Thank you to the panelists, and thank you to the audience. I'm now going to open it up for questions. Yes.
Do you think SB 11 should be amended to address some concerns voiced by professors, and if so, why?
So the question was, do you think SB 11 should be amended to address some concerns voiced by professors, and if so, why? The question is for Bryn.
So, yeah, I think so. To be honest, SB 11 is very drastic to just simply implement campus carry and be able to say, okay, go roam freely with your guns. Even though they do have to be concealed, it still raises some concerns. So, yeah, there should have been something else thought about before something this drastic happened, but then we have to remember we are in Texas. And we do things differently here, and that's not always a good thing. And we're kind of the flagship for this. As Soraya said, there are several other states considering these laws, but they need to wait. We don't know if this is going to have a positive or negative impact, especially on enrollment. I mean, it could be a very, very big issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bryn. Yes.
What certification does a person need to have to carry on campus?
The question was, what certification does a person need to have a carry on campus? Questions for Wesley.
So the certification that people need to, obviously they have to be 21. They have to be a legal resident of the state for at least a 6-month period. They can't be convicted of any felonies or charged with any Class A or B misdemeanors. They can't be chemically dependent. They have to be qualified under federal and state laws to purchase a handgun. They have to pass a test, a shooting test. They have to be capable of doing of exercising sound judgment of things. They can't be restricted under any court protective or subject to restraining orders. And I think they have to be up to their payments like child support as well.
Thank you, Wesley. Yes.
Do you think people are going to get scared of coming to the universities?
The question was, do you think people are going to get scared coming to universities? The question's for Sarai.
Of course, as I said, some students in the faculty, they won't feel safe around the campus. For example, if I'm going to a university and they allow campus carry, and this is the only university that I have to go because they have my major and is the best for me, I will need to make sure that I'm safe in that campus. So they're gonna feel, I think they are going to feel afraid.
Thank you, Sarai. Yes.
How many states are allowing campus carry?
The question was, how many states are allowing campus carry? Questions for Wesley.
With recent state legislation and court rulings that have happened recently, 8 states right now allow campus carry, and these states happen to be Colorado, Mississippi, Oregon, Idaho, Kansas, Wisconsin, Utah. And there's also Arkansas and Tennessee that only allow their faculty to carry on campus. So I would assume that based on how these goes, we might see more, maybe less.
Thank you, Wesley. question was, could there be an alternative to SB 11 that is less drastic, but that still allows people to carry on campus? Question was for Britt.
Yeah, once again, this is extremely extreme. There is no way to get around that. And I think people should be able to protect themselves on campus, but again, going back to the whole dorm room argument, I don't think that they should be allowed in dorm rooms at all. If they are, it should be one of those that you have to somehow register with the campus that you're carrying, and that if the campus wants to do something like put in safes on the ground floor where you can go pick up your weapon, drop it off before you actually take it into the actual residential area, I think that would be something to consider, to allow people to have them with them but not in their living space. Because once again, you have too many people that are uncomfortable with guns, and I think it's really important to remember that we have to allow other students to feel safe, you know, and professors as well.
Thank you, Brent. That'll wrap up our